Hi everyone, my name's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Before you start watching this video, I wanted to cut in here and say I apologize for the lighting. I started filming before the sun set, thought it would be quicker than it was, and the sun did set while I was filming, so the lighting gets a little weird towards the end. So I apologize for that, so thank you for your patience. Today I'm going to be doing my favorite romance reads. I found romance after I graduated college when I moved to New Jersey, and the first year I was here, I was at home a lot because I was doing an internship, didn't have a lot of money, couldn't go out that much, so I read a lot that year, and I discovered romance. It is one of my favorite genres. I don't read it as much as fantasy, but I do love it a lot. So I have collected a list of my top 10 favorite romance reads for anyone looking to get into it. I have given them a spice level rating of 1 through 5. I will preface by saying most of these are pretty high spice. There's only one on the list that's less than 3 out of 5, so we know my taste. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first one on my list is the series that started my love for romance, and that is Beautiful Player by Christina Lauren. This is not the first book in the series. The first one is Beautiful Bastard, but this was my favorite of the series. The series has a ton of books in it, some novellas, some full novels, and each of the full novels follows the start of a relationship for a couple, and they're all friends. It's like the regular romance series trope of like all of the partners get paired off together and they're all friends, which I'm a huge fan of because I love seeing the little cameos of the other couples that I've already read about in a different book. Like, I love it. So this one follows Will and Hannah, who are both scientists, which is super cool. Will is Hannah's childhood best friend, and Hannah is wrapped up in school and doesn't give herself the time to hang out with anyone or make friends or date or anything. So her brother asks Will if he can hang out with Hannah and just like be her friend. What neither of them suspects is that they are adorable together and a romance ensues. And it is very good. I'm gonna say steam level 5 out of 5. This book gets raunchy, but in the best way, obviously. I love this book. I've read it like probably at least 10 times, at least the good parts. Like I've gone back and been like, let's scroll to the good stuff. This book is very good. I highly recommend Christina Lauren. They are my introduction into romance and their books are incredible. I will say their series are much steamier than their standalones, and I also think that their more recent books have been less steamy. These books are a little older, but still, their books are incredible. Check this series out. So Christina Lauren has a lot of books. They have written a ton of books. So I couldn't just have one. So I also have Dirty Rowdy Thing by them, which is part of their other series, The Wild Seasons. I don't remember what the first one is of this series, but this one is about these two groups of friends that meet in Vegas and just decide they're all gonna get married. They are obviously very intoxicated when this happens, and the next day they're like, well, what have we done? And so most of them get a divorce and just kind of move on, but of course, because it's romance, they all end up coming back together, and it's adorable. And this one is my favorite out of the series. This one follows Harlow and Finn. Harlow is a socialite who lives in California, and she has like a wealthy family, and she is just working like as an intern. And Finn lives up in Canada and is a fisherman. And they have this like raw attraction for each other, and they've hooked up a few times since the wedding. When Finn comes to stay with his friends and they are around each other a lot more, they start hooking up a lot more. But what follows is actually an incredibly sweet, touching romance with a lot of spice. I gave this also 5 out of 5 spice level. I would say this one is raunchier than the Beautiful Bastard series. This one is raunchy. So maybe Beautiful Bastard should be 4 if this one's 5 and this is like the where the bar is set. This one is raunchy, but I love this book. I think Finn is incredible, so cute, and Harlow is such a badass, and like their communication is really good until of course like the breakup in the book and then they get back together like it happens in every romance book. But their communication throughout most of it is very good, which is great because like we all know how bad a miscommunication trope can be. But this book, I highly recommend this series. The rest of the books, like the Beautiful Bastard series, I love all of the books and all of the couples. This one, I like two of the couples. One of the couples I'm not a huge fan of. I think that's the first one. Mia and Ansel. I didn't love theirs as much. I just didn't connect with them as much. But I love this one and one other one in this series. So this series is also worth checking out. Next up, I have Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is all over BookTube, all over Book Talk, all over Bookstagram. Like everyone's talking about this book. It is a super smutty Hades and Persephone retelling set in like the modern world, where Persephone has been promised to Zeus. However, Zeus's wives have all mysteriously died. So she runs off and goes to Hades because his land is forbidden for people to come to. And he shelters her, and she learns that this mysterious, evil, dark man is actually none of those things, and he is just trying to do its best for his people. And this one has some voyeurism, and it is very, very smutty, very good. I will say, I read Electric Idol, which was the sequel, and I thought it was so boring. I really, really didn't like it, like at all. However, this one, worth it, I promise. Check it out. Next up is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is one of my favorite books of last year. I will link that video above. But this is an incredible romance story. This one follows two best friends who go on these trips every summer because she has a travel blog. So she is given these trips to go on so that she can review them, and she brings her best friend along. However, they have a falling out, and so we're following two different timelines, pre-fallout and then post-fallout, when they're going on this one more vacation together to try to rekindle their friendship. And what follows is this beautiful, touching romance that I just was swooning over. It's probably like a 2 or 3 spice level out of 5, but it is still like so good. The chemistry these characters have, I thought, was incredible. The banter was like top notch. I love the dynamic of like the shy, quiet guy and the really boisterous, excitable woman, and how they just like click and they're best friends. And now that I'm talking about it, I really want to go reread it. Maybe I'll go reread it. Like maybe I'll just do that after this video. This book is so good. I would definitely say read it. Next on my list is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters trilogy and my favorite of the 3. They're all incredible. Talia Hibbert is a god among men when it comes to writing romance. She has a lot of diversity in her books. She features chronic pain. She has queer characters. She has interracial relationships. All of her books are just chef's kiss. Incredible. This one is my favorite. So Eve Brown is the youngest of the sisters. They're a wealthy family. Her parents have been very supportive of her and all of her various passions. However, she has not kind of settled down with any job, and her family says, you gotta do that. So she goes to this bed and breakfast and applies to be a cook there. However, she accidentally hits the owner with a car when she's leaving the establishment. And so she stays and helps take care of him and also is the cook of this B&B. And it is so good. I would give this 4 out of 5 spice level. It is good. It is so good. I think that the chemistry there is incredible. The steamy scenes are just like, ooh, oh man, they are good. And the plot is actually also very entertaining. I just love Talia Hibbert's writing. All of her romances are so believable and down to earth and also just like so funny. I find myself laughing out loud like constantly. Like every other page there's some sort of like quip or one-liner that I'm like busting a gut for. And so her books are great. If you haven't read Talia Hibbert's books, I say put down whatever you're doing right now and go read the Brown Sisters trilogy. Like just go read them now because you're missing out. Next, I have Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. This is a sapphic romance that I really love. It is about this very like kind of snobby put together woman who gets with someone that is her exact opposite, and it is such a cute romance. Their first date is like hilarious. There's like all these mishaps and they both think they'll never talk to each other again, but alas they do. and it is so good. I would say this is probably 3 out of 5 spice level. There are definitely some steamy scenes that get steamy, but they're not as frequent as some of the other books on this list, but still very good. I love a good sapphic romance, and this one is top notch. Next, I have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is the first book in the Kiss Quotient series. I don't know if the series has its own name, but this is my favorite of the 3. I've read all 3. This one follows a male escort and a woman that is autistic, and she works in economics as an analyst, I believe. She doesn't really know how to act around men, so she decides she's going to hire a male escort to kind of like teach her the ropes. And what follows is this like beautiful romance that is just like so good. I absolutely adored this series, but this one was definitely a little more lighthearted than the other 2. There's some darker themes, but like the 3rd one was real dark. So this one is definitely my favorite. I highly recommend it. The steamy scenes are steamy. I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 steam factor. This book is so good. I actually just reread it like a couple days ago. I didn't read the whole book. I just, again, flipped to like the best parts because like that's what I do with romance books. I just like go back and read the best parts when I'm bored. So I did that just a couple days ago with this one. This series is very good. This first one is incredible. The audiobook is also very good. Next, I have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I talk about this book in my Are These TikTok Books Worth It video, which I will link above. This book is a romance novel between the first son of the United States and one of the princes of England, and it is steamy and incredible and cute. There are definitely some criticisms of this book. A lot of people say that like it kind of creates a more idealized America, which I definitely agree with, but for just the romance alone, it is so good. I gave this a 3 out of 5 steam factor. The steamy scenes are very good, but they're definitely shorter and a little more spread out. Some of these other books, the steamy scenes are like multi-chapters. So this one is definitely not multi-chapter steam. But very good book, very cute book. I highly recommend it. Check out some of those criticisms if it's something that sounds like maybe you would not be interested in, but for just the romance alone, this book is worth it. The next book on my list is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. This is a sci-fi romance that is about this man whose husband has died and must marry quickly to secure some political alliances. And the man he's marrying is kind of like the anti-commitment partier guy. So they're kind of put into an arranged marriage, and they have to be together for political reasons. And what follows is them kind of learning each other and meeting each other and realizing that like they both kind of like each other, but also like helping each other through a lot of the really tough political battles that they have to go through. And I just found this book very touching. They both constantly are just standing up for each other, which I really love. I think that in a story is one of my favorite tropes of just like coming to somebody's defense. And that happens a lot in this book, and I highly recommend it. This one has a steam level of 1 out of 5. I don't even remember if there was any steamy scenes. I don't think there was. I just purely liked this book for how cute the romance was. It was very good, and I definitely recommend it for anyone, even if you don't read sci-fi. It is not sci-fi heavy. The science fiction elements, like, I mean, they're in space and doing space stuff, but like, it is not sci-fi heavy. It is more about the relationship. The last book on my list is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. This is a book that follows 2 telenovela stars who are put on this show together, and they don't know much about each other, and one of them has just gone through a very public breakup. And what follows is them doing this show together and just slowly falling in love. It's adorable. I gave this a steam of, I would say 2 or 3 out of 5 steam level. It's not super steamy. There's some scenes, but it is very, very cute. I love Alexis Daria's female protagonists. They're always like these incredibly strong yet flawed women. Like they aren't just like, oh, super tough women, you know, or like a lot of romance novels I feel like fall into a pit of having their women leads be like either super tough or the complete opposite, instead of just being like regular flawed humans. And I feel like Alexis Daria is incredible at creating women that are strong but also are flawed and like make mistakes, but they're also allowed to be sensitive. So I just really love Alexis Starr's female protagonist. This is part of a series. This is the first one of the series. They're all really good so far. I think there's only 2 out, I think. But they're both very good so far, and I believe there's going to be more. And I really like her books. So that is my top 10 romance novels. These were not in any particular order. I just went through my list on Goodreads to find some I really liked. So no order. I just really love these 10 books. If you have any more romance recommendations, please leave them down below. I really want to hear them. I have not ventured too far into like a lot of the really dark romance side of romance, but I see people talking about it like all the time, so I'm like, maybe I need to get into it. Like I was thinking about reading Sweetest Oblivion soon. Let me know if I should. It looks good. I'm a little intimidated by it, to be honest. But please give me some romance recs down below. I will let you know if I've already read them, but I would love to hear some. And that is the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. Of course, your support means the world to me. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more. So until next time, thank you.